ndimavutika.
Yeah?
Like I said, in hindsight, muntu umazindikira nokuti ndimavutika.
Yeah. I know that for a lot of people, not a lot of entrepreneurs like to talk about the negatives. And a lot of people just like to talk about, oh my God, it's all sunshine and roses.
We have to set certain things in motion. We have to put certain things in place.
It's just as well.
My product is good, but why is it not doing as good as that other person? My but one in drama zanga ziloa. Renti, little school fees, bas. Zanga zaire. But mazodi, what are you working towards? True. I didn't have that vision. Because I didn't understand that there's a whole formula.
What have been like the highlights? Like ever since Secret Formula came into place, what's been the highlights for you?
Definitely being able to...
Mulibwanji, welcome to the very first episode of the Zantchito Entrepreneurship Podcast, funded by the European Union and UNDP. I'm Nicole Kamwendo, and I'm delighted to be your host as we take a journey down what it means to be an entrepreneur in Malawi. Joining me today is Terence Thobani, who is a fashion designer, a dynamic creative and cultural storyteller, events curator, passionate, and an advocate for sustainable African craftsmanship with zero waste. Terence, welcome.
Nicole, thank you so much for having me to share my story.
It's a pleasure to have you.
I mean, I was listening to that introduction and I'm like, wait, is that all me?
That is all you. That's all. You've come such a long way.
Beautifully done. Thank you. Yes,
I was
definitely.
shocked as well. Honestly, I was shocked as well. Just saying.
I mean, we've known each other for so long. I think it's just one of those things that you never really hear other people talk about you in such a light. It's so beautiful to hear.
Also, when you don't really know exactly what it is your friends do.
Yes.
And when you actually find out just how much of a great business person that you are, it's truly an honor to have you.
Thank you so much.
I should say, and to be in this space.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Speaking of being the businessman that you are, it does seem that there is a proven sort of formula to running a successful business. And you've come such a long way from when you started. Could you elaborate on, how it's been?
Definitely, of course. Once again, thank you so much for having me. It's been well over 10 years that I've been in business. But I can definitely tell you today that it was never an easy fit to achieve,
Yeah.
When I first started off, fashion schools were so hard to find. There were no fashion schools in Malawi, more on the technical side. So teaching you how to cut certain pieces and how to put them together, but not tailoring, the technical aspect of it and not necessarily the creative side of it all. Guidance from industry leaders because there were so little and they were not, so easy to reach. So it was very difficult to come up as a business person. But over time, slowly learning, slowly doing some research, finding out how the rest of the world is operating, actually learning what business is. That's when I started finding out a few things, a few elements that helped me become the person that I am today. Setting structure. That was one of the major things that got us to where we are today.
Okay, so it's not just a matter of being talented and being a creative as it would be.
Exactly.
It does sound that you, like you said, you had some structure. So what did your structured approach actually look like?
I mean, the creativity is a must. I think it's the root of the business itself. It's the root of what we do, We loved, like you said, storytelling, the craftsmanship. It's more than just putting pieces together. It's about sharing a piece of myself, sharing a piece of Malawi with the rest of the world through our art.
I love that.
Exactly. And the way we saw the best way to do that was to now put that structure.
Okay.
Small things like having a mission statement, knowing what exactly we are about, why we are in business, having a vision for the business, having values and goals. These are the kind of things that you set in place to make sure that your business has a direction. Another thing, having a direction, having a financial plan, having financial projections, having a marketing strategy. All these elements came together to get us to where we are today. 5 years ago, we didn't have any of these things in place, and it almost felt like all we were doing was just hand to mouth. Nicole will come. She wants a dress. We'll make a dress for Nicole. She pays us. We pay the lights.
Yeah.
And that's it. And at that time, I was working all by myself.
Wow.
So you can imagine that it wasn't sustainable.
Yeah.
There was no future of growth. There was no signs of growth through that because it was all just me. I kept fighting people. And I remember when we had an interview one time on the radio on one of your shows. Way back when. And one of the things that I was fighting you about, or I was telling you about, was that I hated how people referred to me as just a tailor and not a designer. And
but at that time, dare I say, at that time you were a tailor.
Exactly.
You weren't yet a full designer.
Exactly. So now learning all these elements, understanding better that it's not just about the creativity that makes me a designer. It's about being able to manage the business. It's about being able to work with the right people, to set certain things in place, you know. For us, having a mission statement meant knowing what we are trying to do. And our mission statement is that we want to put we want to make sure that everyone feels like they're on a red carpet in their everyday life. That is the mantra that we've gone with, you know, making sure that whatever we are making is not just something that you'll wear today and then you push it back to the back of your closet. The idea is to wear and to have it and to carry it for as long as you live, to be able to pass it on to other people, having a vision for that. Now, setting a plan for what 10 years looks like for Terry Thobani. Before we traded as Terry Made. And over time, the structure, the guidance, all these things came into play for us to then have that shift from Terry Made Designs to Terry Thobani. Because
the fashion house,
the globally recognized fashion house, because it wasn't something that just happened overnight. You know, all these things that were set in place, being able to have a marketing strategy. It wasn't a matter of me sitting down and saying, what does a marketing strategy look like? I had to do some research. I had to talk to people who were in business. I had to talk to people like you who had already been in particular structures and seen how these things operate.
Okay.
So that's how we came up to be.
So if you could visualize your structure, because your journey sounds really, really beautiful, and I should say I love the maturity that's
sounds beautiful
showing.
Now. You know, everything in hindsight sounds much better when you're talking about it, because we get to pick the beautiful things that
you have the comfort.
If I was to tell you the challenges, which is
we will get to that.
Okay.
We will I know you.
Then I'll tell you the challenges, and let's see if you'll think it's beautiful still.
Your story is burning to burst out. You can tell that it's there. But I think before we get to that, what I know myself, and the listeners, the viewers included, would like to know. You've mentioned quite a few points in what your structured approach looked like. But if you could pinpoint the key elements for your secret formula, as you put it, what would those key elements be?
I think, you know, I keep running away from saying a business plan, because as a creative, I know that sounds very, very scary. But that is exactly what it was. You know, it's a business plan, knowing what the risks of being in business are, knowing what the benefits of being in business would be, registering the business.
Oh, that part.
Those things are what separate us from, you know, the tailor who's sitting by the corner of the street in Blantyre,
who's been there for 20 years.
Who's been there for 20 years, and it's just that one machine, right? They probably have a particular structure that they go by, which is, I need to make money to be able to feed. I need to make money to be able to pay for school fees. For us, we said we don't only want to be able to pay the rent that we need to pay. We want to make sure that we can grow, we can be able to supply, we can be able to reach the rest of the world. Because I think I knew from a very young age that we wanted to become a global brand. Of course. I say we now because it's not just me, you know? There's been challenges of, like I said, being by myself and figuring out that this is not sustainable. I never knew that there were things like incubator programs for creative businesses. So now doing research and finding out those things and putting those things in motion helped us get to where we are, you know, learning about funding.
Like so tying it all together.
Tying all these things together, you know, so like being able to tell the story, because that's one of the beautiful things that I've learned in the last 3-4 years, you know. It's not just a matter of producing a beautiful product.
It isn't.
You can produce a beautiful product, but if you don't market it right, it won't get to the right hands. If you don't set certain things in motion, like price points, knowing what your profits are, your profit
so
margins, financial planning, you know. So being able to sit down and say, because again, you can be as creative as possible, but if you're not business oriented in any capacity,
you're not going to get anywhere.
You know.
So you mentioned your mission.
Yes.
You mentioned the vision. You've mentioned the financial planning part of this. What about competition? Because there are other designers, you know.
So
would that be part of the secret formula?
So being able to identify who your competitors are, I always used to think it's a matter of like who's making exactly what I'm making. Until I got to understand that it's not really just as direct as that.
Yeah.
There's direct competitors, there's indirect competitors. I had to be put in the same table with brands like Louis Vuitton and said, if you were Louis Vuitton, what would you be doing different? Why should anyone buy something from you and not Louis Vuitton?
Yeah.
And I'm like, because it's Louis V,
Yeah.
But then over time, learning that, they provide the exact same service that I provide, only that I'm providing it at a much smaller scale. How did they get to be at that level? Because when you now look back at their story, it was also started by one person.
Yeah.
It was started by a small family.
Yeah.
And they said, you know what? We want to grow this into a global brand. What do we need to put in place? So being able to understand who even our clients are, right? You as an event host, you're an MC, you are an all-rounder, a person who's in the social media. Listen, you are in everyone's face on a daily basis, and your image is something that we identify with. People like you, women in business, women in power. Those are the kind of people that we cater to. People who understand and appreciate sustainable craftsmanship. So learning things like that, identifying who our clients are, who our target
market
audience, market research, like you said, finding out who the competitors are, direct and indirect. Doing a SWOT analysis. For those who don't know what a SWOT analysis is, finding out the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats that come into play when you're not starting a business. Exactly. So like I said, running away from the point of, this is a business plan, and saying this is our secret formula, because it's unique to everyone. And understanding all those things, bringing all those things together over time, with the help of other people who are more savvy in those elements, it made it so much better for me as a creative to actually be able to create and to grow the business.
So before this secret formula, I have to ask, because it sounds so structured. It sounds like, you sound like the wisdom of experience.
Is this the part about the challenges?
Yes, I did say that we're going to get to it. I said we were going to get to it. So, and I know that for a lot of people, not a lot of entrepreneurs like to talk about the negatives. And a lot of people just like to talk about, oh my God, it's all sunshine and roses.
Can I plead the fifth?
No, you're going to talk.
And saname zinali zovuta. Ndinavutika. Ndimavutika.
Yeah.
And like I said, in hindsight, muntu umazindikila nokuti ndimavutika.
Yeah. Because at the time, you were just getting through it.
Exactly. At the time, I was like,
normal.
I just have to get through it. This is how business works. You make money today, and
actually, that's actually a phrase with a business in Malawi, don't
Exactly. That's the mantra that we go by, because we have to set certain things in motion. We have to put certain things in place. Tinalibi business account. So ndalama zimakadi zodi zaba khumubo. Machine, I had one machine, an electric machine. When the lights go off, literally
the definition of what we were working to keep the lights on, and the lights went off.
And the lights went off. Magesi wakatithela, pakati pa usiku tikugwira ntchito ngati tilibe ndalama yoti tigule magesiwo. I had to wait.
That means orders are taking long.
That means
customers are angry. And you were doing everything, so every phone call was coming to you.
And Magesi kuti ndithawe being that stereotype of Adelalama when it comes to delivery, So I was working really, really hard to fight that stereotype, not realizing that I wasn't actually doing anything good for my business. Kukanika kuti ndibange experiment. Kukanika kubanga produce the things that we want to produce as a company. Because I think for a very long time, I had already known that Terry Thobani, Terry Made at the time, was not only meant for custom pieces. Because, like I said, custom pieces are very tricky. Everyone has a particular way that they want something to fit on their body. So being
for example, I like mine
tight
on the top.
You want to show that you have no waist.
There's nothing to work with.
But other people will bring you pictures off of the internet from a very different body type for you to make the exact same thing. But because I just need the money, ndimavomera. Nkuyesesa kupanga chinthu chija customer khaosa sangalala ndimati komatu ndichomwe munafuna.
Do you ever find yourself actually going against what you stand for? Because you're
times.
Zero waste, and then you've got somebody coming through asking for a different design, and you know that this is going to waste so much fabric. This is not what I want to stand for.
So many times. We make pieces that are just once off. And ndimachita kulira. Kuti nsalu yabwino ngati iyi tikuononga chifukwa palibenso china chomwe tingapange nayo nsalu after this basi. So now even things like clothes was in Koswe.
Yeah.
You know, there's a way that we now have taken an approach to it, Goody, to make them something that is wearable even after your Jinkoswe, even after your wedding.
Yeah.
You know, so we've found ways. But before, hey, inali nkanya dibola tingobanga ndalama, di wonesesa kuti lero ijaja.
So it sounds like finances were one of the biggest issues that you were having. Nanga, how about working with big organizations? Because I know, like Panoba, even minutes, or even just from my own personal experience, I know for a fact that big organizations will not work with a business you register.
Exactly. Hey. And we were not registered for a very, very long time. So that was also a big challenge. You would see tenders. My family was always so supportive.
Yeah.
And they would send me, apply for this tender, apply for this tender, apply for this tender.
And
one of the first things that they're looking for is a business registration license. That's it. That's all they were asking for. And it says into Zofutai,
now you can do it online.
Go online.
It's a 10-minute process online.
And that's it. You have your license. Right? But and
also I guess at the time
small business all I'm doing is just making sure that I'm eating. That's it. But then over time, you know, learning your business is more than you. I had to learn that. I had to accept that. I think we've spoken about it a little bit, that to say I had to learn to delegate.
Yeah.
But I couldn't delegate because I had no one to delegate to. And to be able to get to a point of delegation was after networking, after learning from other people that business is more than just you. You need someone else to be able to handle the books. You need someone else who might be able to handle
because
the production.
For a lot of creators, bookkeeping is not your
terrible.
Point.
Terrible.
Okay.
And so, you know, another advantage is you need to learn that there are other people out there who have studied these things.
That's true.
They've gone to school for these things.
That's
so
true.
They're looking for opportunities, right? I also always used to think that the only way a business could be successful was if I made sure I did everything right first. That when someone else is coming in,
yes, sir.
But I had to understand that there's other people out there who are looking for opportunities, even opportunities such as internships, you know, internships that budded into becoming a relationship, where maybe initially we didn't have the finances to cater for these people, but they were looking for a particular service from us. That's one of the best things that I've also learned about business, that it's not only just a matter of cash to, you know, cash in hand. Business to business is a thing, you know, working with entities. Now that we've been registered, now that we've worked with other bigger organizations, we've come to learn that I can provide a service for
trade
you,
exchange,
and you also can provide a service for me.
So trade
and
exchange.
When I think about it now, this is something that I used to say ngati kuli koteka nditha kumalolela kuti munthu ndizingomupangira chovalacho naye sangondipasa china chake sindikufuna ndalama ngati pali njira yoti tingapange business without trading money, because it was so hard to even put prices on things, because I didn't understand that there's a whole formula behind it. So now taking time to learn and being able to have other people pafupi kufunza kodi Nicole iwe ndio umapanga bwanji izi Nicole andoza ine matere mote
mina soka pride so was a problem
kodi mukondidziwa bwino yes.
Okay, well, I mean, I know you. I've known you personally as well, so I would be the last person to tell you that you've got an ego, because I have an ego too. But maybe that did factor in a little bit. Kuti pride, ka feeling koti ineyo balibe ankanduze chochita.
But then now learning koti you need help from other people. You need other people to help you. That was the turning point.
Okay.
But now already. Wow, I was missing out on so much.
Yeah.
You know? The growth we've had in the past 4 years could have been done 10 years ago. But I think also it takes time, you know, it takes patience, and it takes having that vision that we talked about, having those goals set in place. For pali anthu ene oti amakhutisidwa ndi kungogwira ntchito. Ine bwera lero ndadzuka ndapita ku office ndabwerako. Mapeto wa mwezi ndalama zanga zilowa.
Ndipereke
rent, ndilipira school fees, basi. Zanga zaira. Koma zoti what are you working towards? Anthu ambiri samapanga zinthu. Anthu ambiri nanenso ndinalibe. I didn't have that vision. Maso mphenya amenewo ndinalibe. But it took time, it took me sitting down and saying, I don't want to be here forever.
It's like you had all the materials, but you didn't exactly know what to do with them. Like you can't build a house without a blueprint. You just be like, njera ndizo cement nduyo, now what?
Mangu awuzanti ndi nyumba to kumanga.
Nyumba njera soka.
Exactly. So over time, those challenges have been rectified. We've learned how to better put all these things together, working with other people, taking advice, listening. Because that thin line between ego and confidence, it had to be, I had to find that balance. Why are they successful? Why am I not successful? You know, you look at your product and you say, my product is better.
Is just as well.
My product is good. But why is it not doing as good as that other person? So kuphunzira zinto zosezo kuzifunsa mafunso ovuda ngaramene.
The uncomfortable conversations
very,
that you
very
need
uncomfortable
to have with
conversations.
yourself.
Yes.
So you've kind of touched on it lightly. Well, not so lightly. But I would like to know, after you implemented your secret formula, like what have been your highlights to say, okay, I sat down, I made a business plan. You have said several times that your business has grown the last 4 years. With the business,
Exactly.
you have employees. Literally, now you're an employer. You see, respect to you.
Respect.
You know what to about that. My employer. Trade union. So what have been like the highlights, like ever since Secret Formula came into place? What's been the highlights for you?
Definitely being able to, you know, pass the baton on to someone else.
Okay.
To see growth. You know, you it's like having a child. You don't want your child to stay a 2-year-old forever. No one likes a 2-year-old that's 10. You know, everybody wants you at every stage in your life, of that child's life at least, you want to see growth.
Yeah.
So we've started to see that growth. Being able to employ other people. It's not only a matter of like giving someone a salary at the end of the month. It's not a matter of them reporting to me on a daily basis.
Yeah.
But it's more of an impact in their life, in their society, in their community. Now we're spreading our awareness of this zero waste production to other people, you know, things that literally other people would toss into the streets.
Yeah.
We pick those things up, we wash them, and we breathe new life into that. So for other people,
feeling of accomplishment, we're making a difference.
And building a team that also sees that and embraces that as well is such a game changer, you know. So being able to see those things come to fruition, it changed my life.
Okay.
Definitely changed my life.
How about partnerships?
I was getting there. I was about to say that, you know, now back to that B2B and changing from just thinking it's a B2C, which is business to cash, we now moved to business, understanding that we can offer a service and someone will also offer a service to us that will give us a chance to produce what we want to produce, to be able to cater to the custom clients that we have, opening our revenue streams even wider. That's another thing that a lot of creative businesses never consider, is that just because you're a designer doesn't mean that all you design is women's clothes.
Okay.
You should be able to have 4 or 5 multiple streams or revenue streams from that same business. Make the women's
diversify.
Clothes. Yes. Pangani zovarazana, pangani tizikwama, pangani timabo. Do you know how much money goes into those things?
Yeah.
Very little to make those things and very little time to make those things.
And all you have to do is add that creativity that you have that's unique to you, to have your flavor, to say, okay, a bow is a bow, but this is a bow from Terry Thobani.
Terry Thobani. And you know, when someone purchases that, they know that I can wear this every day. And every day it'll feel very different. So those are some of the highlights, you know, growing our audience, growing our market, from saying, I hope Nicole talks about us, to we are being talked about in magazines, the Diende magazine,
On
Flight magazine, people reaching out when someone is on the flight, you know, just perusing, like, oh wow, I would love to meet this person.
Yeah.
Growing our numbers on social media, our reach is becoming that global brand that we've wanted to be for so long, or that I wanted to be for so long. And now it's happening on its own. You know, we get approached to curate fashion shows. We get approached to showcase at spaces because now there's value in
you're telling the story you've always wanted to tell.
And there's people listening.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. That is truly, truly beautiful. Honestly, I'm a bit emotional on my part because it's like we've seen this growth, and I can definitely attest to it. Like, I've seen your growth. It's wonderful to see the maturity. That's Terry Thobani. Like, even the fact that you embraced Thobani as your name, because most people don't know that's actually your name.
My first name.
That's your first name. Terrence is your second name.
Yeah.
That I'm just seeing you actually say, you know what, I want to tell the African story. Where better to start than with my own name and what it means to me. And I can attest to that as well when it comes to having the secret formula that ties in and actually brings your vision out there.
Right.
personally, as a business, as one of my businesses, which is, the media personality, the media side of it, there's only so many facets to myself. If you don't know.
You're not just this babe who's
Not
sitting
just
here.
the one who talks a lot. But we'll focusing on this particular one. I will say I have seen the growth as well.
Right.
Ever since I decided to take it seriously, to say, okay, this is what I want to do.
Mm.
I agree with you 100% when you said having a vision,
Mm.
actually knowing where you want to go, where you want to see yourself,
Mhm.
it really changes your approach to things.
Completely.
I've had people say, okay, but why don't you do, don't you do the big, don't you feel some type of when you don't do the big events, like the big concerts? And I'm always like, but that's not where I want to see my brand going.
Exactly.
Yes, I love it. It's an amazing event and whatnot, but that's not where I want my brand to be. 10
Aligning
years down the
yourself.
line, I don't just want to be the host that can only do concerts.
Right.
I want to do different kinds of, here I am hosting a whole podcast.
Wow.
I never thought I'd be here, but it's because of choosing, this is my goal, this is my vision. How do I get there?
And working towards it.
Working towards it. Brand alignment is another very big thing. Like, okay, what does my brand look like? I want to sit in what rooms? Always ask yourself that question, I think. What room do I want to sit in? And when I leave the room, what do I want people to say about me when I leave that room? Do they want to say, oh no, she's just that really chatty person and there's nothing to it? But what am I chatting about?
Exactly.
That's growth.
Telling your story.
Yes, it has to come with a vision plan. I had to also do what you did. Sit down, actually decide, okay, what's my financial plan? Get my business registered, actually open a business account, have my books in order to say, I'm growing. My business is growing. I need to expand. Now I can hire people too. It's crazy. I had my first person. I was like, oh my goodness.
Yay, you.
Yeah.
Yay, you. That is good.
It.
Exactly.
And I love what you said, like diversifying your business. Like, this is something I'm good at. I'm probably the best at it.
It is.
But also, I can
There's
do this.
other things that I could do.
This.
Yeah.
I can do this because this cannot be the only source of income
that I make money from.
Yes, 100%.
Totally. I think when like I keep saying, I think I keep referring back to this. Like now in hindsight, you start to wish I wish I had done this earlier. So if your business is in like a very, very early stage, start now.
Yeah.
So
I guess the question I would like to ask you, which you touched on earlier on, you did say the past 4 years you've seen quite a lot of growth.
Right.
That had you started earlier, 10 years of opening the business till today, you'd have been somewhere different, like maybe 5 steps ahead of where you are now.
Yeah.
But what would you say have been the biggest highs for you? Like okay, business plan yanga or secret formula as we're calling it. You get any secret formula into my business. These have been the biggest highs for me.
Right. I think seeing the business grow has definitely been one of the biggest highlights. And by grow, I don't only mean goody, we now have more clients, but I mean we're able to work with big organizations.
Okay.
Because now we're a registered business, we're recognized by the government, and certain entities, when they want to commission a bigger portion of products, we are able to cater to that. We have the team to cater to that. And so it comes with a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
And I think
with great power comes great responsibility.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
And look at that.
And I think knowing that and learning that, it also teaches you how to manage people. Which is a very, very difficult thing. But you see the impact that it has in their lives or in your business and on me as well as a person. Just learning all those managerial skills, that definitely has to be one of my biggest highlights as a boss, as a creative. Being able to pass on the work to someone else and have confidence that they will produce it almost the same, if not the exact same that I would have done it. So it gives me enough time to actually create, to actually plan, to actually talk to my clients, to sit down with people. So that's one of the biggest highs. Traveling, oh my god,
yes,
man,
we did see Terence Thobani has been to Paris, Accra Fashion Week, South Africa. You are a globe.
We are not done. We are not done. We are not done. So I think that just being able to tell the story has opened these doors for us. And telling the story compared to what I used to do 10 years ago to what I'm doing now, we tell the story in a very, very different manner. Now it's not a matter of look at the amount of work that we're able to produce in a week. Look at how great our work is. It's a matter of look at the impact our work is bringing to the community. Look at how we're participating in the SDG goals.
Yes.
Being able to play a bigger role in the community other than just being a dressmaker.
Yeah.
Every business and any business plays a particular role in this community, in the ecosystem, in the financial sector, in the, your social responsibilities.
Yeah.
There's all these things that you need to learn to position yourself to be globally viable, to be an entity that everyone wants to work with. We've moved from being the kind of organization where we go looking for clients to a place where we're like, no, sorry, we don't have enough time to be able to
Look
do
at
this
that.
thing.
Dashurukidwa.
You know, kuphunzira kunena no, you know, because but like I said, timango tenga zose. Tinalibe voice. We didn't have a brand voice. We didn't have a brand identity. But that structure, that secret formula, that business plan gave us an opportunity to have a voice, to know who we are talking to know who's listening and who's willing to pay what we're asking for.
I like what you're saying, learning how to say no, because I think a lot of small businesses, startup businesses, young businesses, I should say, that is one of the things that we find so hard to do, to get to the point where you can actually say no to things. Because again, something else you've also touched on that's very close to my heart is brand identity. Wudiweka, what is your vision? Sitting down and having the secret formula, having your business plan and actually knowing this is my vision, this is my goal, this is my mission, this is how what I need to do to get where I want to go.
Exactly.
Learning to say no. I've had a lot of people ask me why they don't usually see me at social events, concerts, weddings. I think that's the easiest one I can. Why don't you host weddings? And I said,
you've only hosted like 2 or 3 weddings.
I've only hosted 3 weddings. Yeah, in the history of my career. I've been doing it for 8 years. I've only hosted 3 weddings. And everyone was like, oh, why did you do that? I said, because that's not my brand. I'm not a wedding officiant. I'm not a wedding host. It's something that I have done before and I'm okay at. It's not the best thing that I do. Whenever I'm holding a microphone, that's not the strongest point for me. There are others who are really
analysis
that is the weakness. This is one of the weaknesses that could potentially turn into a threat because I cannot compete. Competitive analysis, I cannot compete with the other wedding hosts that exist. And I don't want to compete with them. Let me focus on my strength.
Building your niche.
Yes. Focusing on my brand identity. I am a corporate host. I work with corporate entities. That is where I'm at. When you think business event, you think business media, you want to think about Nicole. Because she's going to deliver. She's going to do a good job.
And she delivers.
Saying no, the hardest thing. Have you ever experienced this when you had to say no? The first time you said no. And I'm not going to mention which event it was, but the business that I was, let's say 3 years ago, had I gotten the chance to host that exact event 3 years ago, this event that I was actually asked to twice now, they've asked me to do it. And twice I've said no.
You said no.
They were so convincing in their ask. And 3 years ago, I'd have jumped at the opportunity because it's a massive audience. It's good money, massive audience, visibility off the chart.
Everything would have been ticked.
But it's not my brand.
Aligning with what you're doing.
Yes, and it's not where I want to see myself 5 years from now. I keep bumping into him, and he's always like,
that's what adds value to your narrative. You know, now when an organization approaches you, they know what you're capable of doing. They know who you are. And it's not just anybody who will approach. Yes, they will approach, but they will also see that, okay, we can't afford you, or we can afford you, but maybe you don't want to do this because it's not aligning with you. It was the exact same thing.
Yeah. When you brought up about partnerships, that's the other thing. Partnerships only work when your visions are aligned, when your goals are aligned. Your brand is something, you want to work with a company, right. It's never going to work.
Because ndizijama bezoti ine singazagwira ntchito naye amene madana ndi anthu usakudziwa zoti munadana chifukwa yoti simumamvese sana kuti ineyo chichewa chomwe ndikuyankhula ndi chapakati kapena iwe ukuyankhula chakuplant. All you need to do is understand that, okay, yes, this could work, but I also need to know to say no. After I learned to say no, it opened the right doors for us because timangoti yes to everything. Now we're working for a whole week on one particular item, that's bringing X amount. When we could have been doing 5 orders within that week, that would have brought times 10 that same amount. They're
going to tell their friends, filter. Learning how to filter that.
You are winning through exposure. And winning exposure.
Exposure does not give the lights on.
Exposure. I think it's one of those things that I think the right way to utilize exposure is expose me to knowledge.
Thank you.
Expose me to the right people that I can talk to that will put me in the right position. I'm preaching to somebody.
You're preaching to somebody. Those who have ears to hear.
They will hear.
They're hearing you.
Exactly. You know, positioning yourself is something that you can do any day. You wake up today and you say, today I actually want to be in the right room with the right people. All you need to do is just start with one person, and you need to say yes to the right thing. You never know that it's the right thing immediately, but you do your research, you look at what your business plan, your secret formula, what it says about you, who you are and who you're trying to reach out to. And once you do that, you now know who to, to mingle with. You know who to connect with. You know who to partner with.
Absolutely.
Because you see what the pros and the cons of that partnership are. Learning to do all of that.
It's not easy, but it's gold when you actually do.
Here we are.
Here we are. So we have learned that having a business plan is actually the secret formula to having a business that is actually successful and enhancing your connections and building you as a person, as an individual, and especially as an entrepreneur. Terence, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Nikki. This felt like a chat session, and I hope that whoever's listening, whoever's watching, they take all the lessons that we've shared, they put them into practice, because you can listen, you can watch, but if you're not taking notes, if you're not implementing it into your life, zimavuta and zibidi zizakuvuta.
Mafuta katakatele?
Akupanikizatu.
So thank you so much to our listeners and our viewers. Join us next time where we have another guest here to share their story on what it's like to be an entrepreneur in Malawi.